So stories, you guys heard about it from kind of different angles, from Shane Scott, from Michael Isom. I told you a little bit. And there's stories happening right now, right? There's two conversations that are happening even though I'm the only one speaking. Actually, there's 50, 60 conversations that are happening concurrently. They're the words that are coming out of my mouth or coming out of Alfano's mouth or coming out of Isom's mouth or coming out of Shane Scott's mouth. And then there's that internal conversation, right? Whatever you're hearing is not necessarily what I'm saying. It's what you're interpreting. And that's all predicated on your past, how you were brought up, the experiences that you had. For a long time, I held on to a story that didn't serve me. That story was that I was weak and I was a pussy. And you know who gave me that story? My dad. My dad. My father. A man that I equally loved and feared at the deepest of levels. Loved him unconditionally, but could tremble with fear in the same conversation. And it could switch in a moment. And a time in my life where I was super impressionable and I needed my dad. I just needed my dad to pick me up. Put me in his lap and hug me and say, it's all right, you fucked up, son. I got you. I got you. He didn't. He said, you're a fucking pussy. You think you're a big man? You're just a weak little fucking boy. I'm nothing but a pussy. I was an NCAA wrestler, 4-year varsity wrestler, fucking more street fights than I care to even talk about. But I held on to that story. And I'd fight anybody. Why? To prove otherwise, right? To prove otherwise. But then in the areas where it mattered the most, in my relationships, in business, in all the things that really, truly fucking mattered, I was showing up like a fucking pussy. And it wasn't until I was able to come into a room like this, and I was able to be locked arm in arm, literally, figuratively, emotionally, spiritually, with men like Michael Isom, with a man like Nick Alfano, that I was able to finally hold up a mirror and tell a different story. And in that process, forgive my father. And I didn't have a lot of empathy for my father until I became one. Until I held my own children in my arms. And I knew that it was impossible for my father to not love his children, but it was so fucking easy for him to not love himself. And because he didn't have a room like this, because he didn't have a man like this, he was unable to transform the pain that he felt from his father. And he just transmitted it to me. And I was lucky. I found brothers like Alfano and Michael Isom and many more, as a new father. And I made a declaration that they would never, ever fear me the way I feared my father. They would respect me, but they wouldn't fear me. And so one of the stories that some of you had the privilege of hearing, and it's a hard one to tell, but it's beautifully broken in all the right places, because it leads to this room in the creation of this movement. And I've had the privilege of mentoring this man, but now it's like a fucking brother. Nashville's like my second home. In fact, a couple times when I fucked up in my marriage, because I'm not perfect, my wife's like, one-way ticket to the Alfanos. and I hole up in the basement, cry my eyes out, try to lift the shit he does and throw out my back, and I heal. And I've got that equity built with this man because there was a time I was holding up a mirror for him. And so you're going to hear a little bit about his story. Actually, a lot. He hates this. But whenever I'm here, I make him do it because it's about getting uncomfortable. And it's a good exercise for him to reflect. One of the most valuable things I have beyond money, if I look at that asset column, and you'll hear about my asset column tomorrow, but on the human life asset, like one of the most valuable treasured things I have in my life, and I've coached hundreds of men, I've coached big Fortune 500, 100 companies, I've done billions and billions of dollars in transactions, hundreds of millions of dollars in personal revenue. Like, the people I'm connected with will fucking blow your mind. But one of the most valuable things I have is a letter from that woman in the back, Lindsay Alfano. And it was a thank you letter. It was a thank you letter from her for bringing back her Nick, for bringing back the husband she married, for bringing back the father she always saw, for bringing back life into theirs. And all I did was fucking hold up a mirror. But the mirror is useless if the man looking into it is unwilling to change. You will not find a man who practices more than he preaches than this man. You ready?
Nope.
So I want to go back to December 2015. I mean, you've always been a muscle-bound man, but you had like this strong exterior, like hardened shell. So go back to that day, a room very similar to this that you were sitting in, and what you were experiencing.
So, 2018, year 2015.
Oh yeah, 2018.
Yeah, so December 12th, 2018, I have it saved. I just got done cheating on my wife for 17 years straight. I could say that in this room with her present now because of the work we've done, and she knows how important it is to be able to have these conversations. And I had a soccer dad. Our kids played soccer together. They got invited to this thing called WarriorCon 3 in San Diego, California. Garrett J. White. If you know him, you know him. And again, this was 4 years and change, 4.5 years ago. That was like, nah, that's not for me. He said, look, come check this thing out. It's a little too aggressive for me, but I think it's right up your alley. So I went to San Diego and I sat in a room with 3,000 dudes. And in the first 10 minutes, we were doing push-ups and we had to face each other as we came up from our push-up with a man I've never met before, 3,000 dudes, and you had to spit talk angrily, I am a fucking liar. That's how I opened up the event. And you had to do that until you actually believed it, because most of us have an ego and we want to say that we're not liars. The reality is, we're all liars. We're lying to others, we're lying to ourselves, etc. And this man said one sentence, and this is the sentence, you can write it down, but this sentence is what was like my hinge. You know, small hinges open large doors, and this sentence, it like pushed me out of the back of my chair. He said, in a world full of liars, the truth is a declaration of war. And I was a lawyer at the time, and I crafted this thing called the Truth Agreement. Only at that time, I didn't really know if I was going to stick to it or what it really was to tell the truth. And so I immediately jumped up and paid 10, 15 grand to go through an experience I thought I was going to do until we had a lunch break, and this man spoke. And some of you maybe felt this with Isom or Shane Scott, or maybe you'll feel it with another of our speakers. But everything that he said resonated with me more than anything I heard at this 2.5-day event. And so I immediately And I didn't know if he would do it because it'd be like one of you guys flagging me down and saying, hey, let's go to lunch. I don't know what kind of time that looks like. I said, hey, can I take you to lunch? I don't know you, but you spoke through me. And so we went to, this is the Applebee's, Seasons 52. Look it up, some bougie place in San Diego. And he just, he asked me a couple powerful questions. And this is nothing compared to what happened at that restaurant. And so I called them. I said, hey, I made a mistake. I love you guys. I appreciate the experience, but I need to hang out with this guy for the foreseeable future. And we got to work. And it started with this moment that I feel really changed everything prior to that event, which was this man in the mirror moment. That's like, if you ever read anything on me or see my story or anything, I constantly go back to this time in my life where I just slept with like a random girl off of Instagram. My wife and I were broken apart. I was living 30 miles away, still paying all her bills, all my bills, tons of money, 7 figures, passive, waking up with nothing else to do but feel cool. $200,000 cars, all the houses, all of the stuff, taking my kids to every sports thing, showing up to every spelling bee, every awards assembly. So I still had all these stories that I was showing up for my family, and I'm the man. My wife's just not the one. And I'd slept with this chick, and anybody here who's ever had, I don't even know if it was a one-night stand, but all that to say, like, I had this crazy, crazy empty feeling. She leaves, obviously, and I just stared in the mirror for over 3 hours straight. And we all have those talk tracks. Some of you still have them. And I just mother effed the dude. Like, I was so, it wasn't even anger. It started with anger, and then it just ended with like it went from disgust. Like, I went through all these levels until it ended with like, more than anything, it ended with questions. Like, who are you? Take the money, take the cars, take the hot wife and the 3 kids, and take everything from you. Like, who are you at your core? What do you stand for? Who are you as a human being? Not what are you doing, right? We're human beings, not human doings. Not what have you done, what have you built? Not what cool shit are you known for, not the muscles, not the tattoos. Who the F are you? I couldn't answer it, but I knew it was ugly. And so I just started seeking answers, and that's what led to the soccer conversation, which led to the event, which led to this conversation. And this man and I have been attached at the hip since December 12th, 2018.
The irony of that is that Nick hired me in a one-on-one capacity, but we also ran it very much in a group capacity, like the program. And luckily enough, proximity-wise, we lived close enough that we could get together for our one-on-one sessions. So I went down to his beautiful office. He's a lawyer. He always would like have a fucking Windsor knot the size of a Winchell's donut. And the beautiful office, and he had debt collections, multiple debt collection franchises, licenses, if you will, going, passive income, as he said. And he kept saying this thing about, I'm only telling the fucking truth. And he kept repeating that phrase and repeating that phrase. And I looked around, and I'm like, you're a lawyer, and you collect debt. The irony of what you're telling me is the 2 things that are bringing you all this money are keeping you stuck to that anchor. What do you really want to do? He's like, I want to change men's lives. Well, why don't you do that then? Well, fuck. I'd have to walk away from this. I'd have to walk away from the fucking lies. Step into the truth. Step into what you've been divinely called to be. Yeah, you'd walk away from some money, but the way abundance works, it'll come back tenfold. Look around. Look the fuck around. How many of you would be willing to walk away from the current fucking thing that you're stuck in or anchored to? If it serves you, great. But if it's not serving you, to go deep into the fucking pit financially, emotionally, spiritually, to step into the light that you've been called to be. So when I say, like, practice is what he preaches, I don't say it lightly. So, but let's kind of rewind the clock, because that took us to 2018. We could talk about, where things are today, and obviously they got a little preview of it with your wife sitting in the back of the room. But like, that didn't happen overnight, right? So let's go back to like young Nick Alfano, the not so beaver cleaver family. and specifically your relationship with your mom.
How many of you guys operate with a chip on your shoulder? Like it actually serves you to some degree, right? Like tell me I can't do something, it's game over, right? So that's still me sometimes, you know? Born and raised in Biloxi, Mississippi, super broke on food stamps and welfare our whole life. My dad moved out to Cali a year ahead of us to like set up shop because his work took him out there. Set up shop meant find a younger, hotter version of my mom. And so we moved out to Cali and they were divorced. We moved in July, they were divorced by October. But the crazy thing was we never saw my dad much anyway, so it wasn't a weird thing for us. My mom was the scary one. She was the disciplinarian, and if you grew up in the South, I don't know if there's anybody here from the South, it's pretty cool to beat your kids. Like it's normal. It's a thing. I was raised Roman Catholic. I went to an all-Catholic school for a while. We got hit with paddles, just like you see on TV. The nun calls you up to the front of the room, and the paddle, I remember it to the day I die, had air holes in it, so they could like whoosh faster. It was that hardcore. It was obviously a lot of shame and guilt. It was more about being a spectacle in front of the class, but it did hurt too. And then when I got home, mom was way worse. We've had the cops over to our house countless times. All these beatings involved things. So like I still have actual physical scars from her. And then we moved to Cali. It's pretty frowned upon to beat your kids. More of a blue state whereby they have CPS out there. I'm sure they have it everywhere, Child Protective Services. And so teachers are mandated to like run it up the flagpole if they see you keep coming to school with some beatings. And the cycle kind of looked like this. I would show up, I would have some sort of visible markings. They would go and tell the principal, who would tell whatever, CPS, the cops, somebody shows up at the school, they have a meeting with my mom. My mom has my gift to gab, or I should say I have hers, that's where I got her from. She talks her way out of it, and then what do you think happens when we get home? And so like at some point I'm like pleading to my teachers, like, please stop. Like this is not ending well for me. And then I was of the mindset, and you develop this mentality, the belief, action, result. I earned these beatings. This is all I knew. I got out of line, I got popped. That's just what it is. That's all we knew. It was three of us. I was the middle of three kids. So 14 comes along. I decided I hit puberty and had a little bass in my voice, say it with your chest. And I was tired of getting hit. And I pushed my mom through a sliding glass door. At the time, my brother had already left with my dad. He wanted to live with him. So it was my mom, my sister, myself in a 2-bedroom apartment. I defended myself, and I ended up pushing her through a sliding glass door. And she just left. So she left a note the next morning. Nicholas, my full name, has shown me that I can no longer discipline my own children. Rent's paid for a month, and there's some groceries in the fridge. And she just walked away from all of her kids, which is fucking disgusting. So not only did she leave, but brother and sister blame me all the time, because I'm the one that finally stood up. I'm the one that pushed mom to her breaking point. So I was homeless from 14 on. I've been homeless. And so the chip came from like my obsession with money and things. And I always thought I wasn't an addict. Like I thought, there's no way. I don't gamble, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't video game, I don't do anything. I was like the most straight edge kid. I had no choice. I was trying to survive. But my addiction, and this is where it started, was affirmation. Like the last couple cars that I spent 200 plus grand on was not even about a girl or me. It was about, at a stoplight, some young kid pulling up to me and saying like, sick fucking whip, bro. Like that was enough of a like dopamine hit for me. I had a $3,800 car note and a $2,200 mortgage at one point. One-dimensional douchebag. I had different cars for different days of the week. I got every tattoo and every steroid and every muscle you could think of, so no one would look too fucking close at the inside. This was all for show. Don't look too close. I'm the homeless broken kid that will do whatever it takes to one-up anybody. All ego. Never broke. Very broken.
It's funny because we've all been given gifts, right? Like I could go around and talk with each one of you guys and just ask enough questions, and you probably already know what your gift is. I have a gift, and oftentimes I want to give it away, which is I just have this high level of EQ and being able to connect to people. And I saw all of this, right? But I saw right behind all that, I saw this, and I saw those eyes. And I could see so much fucking pain in those eyes. And even though it was a different type of pain that I had, pain is pain. The best part about pain is perspective. Pain is powerful. But pain shared is pain divided. Love shared is love amplified. So when you give someone permission to share their pain, it gives them perspective, it gives them power to write a new story. And that's what happened at Applebee's over some appetizers. But sometimes a person has to be pushed so far into their fucking pain that they say, enough, like I'm fucking done. And in a crowd of thousands of people, this fucking dude comes barreling through the crowd. I just got off stage speaking in front of this audience, literally just sharing my fucking pain. That's all I was doing. I didn't say anything earth-shattering. I just talked about how my earth had been shattered. And through that pain, we connected. And can you imagine this fucking dude moving through a crowd, like charging at you like a goddamn water buffalo? I'm like, fuck, do I owe this guy money? I hope not. Little did I know that one conversation would birth something so beautiful for both of us. But it wasn't birthed in like us both fucking killing it and winning. It was birthed out of the pain, the mutual pain that we shared. So it didn't stop there, like the muscles, the cars, you know, the women. You obviously had like the woman of your dreams in your life, but like when you're not broke and you're still broken, everything comes dispensable. You started running with some wrong crowds.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know this man, even though he's brilliant on camera, I mean, the way he can string things together and educate is second to none, but he hates being on camera because he doesn't like the way he looks on camera. There's a specific reason why he doesn't like the way he looks on camera.
Oh, we're doing that. He knows everything, so he's just gonna like lead me down a path. Anybody here roll with a bad crowd every once in a while? Probably in the wrong room for this, but in the South this lands. You guys are all good boys, I feel. Has anybody ever just ran with the wrong crowd and you know you're running with the wrong crowd to some degree? Cool, better than I thought, I love it. So if you grow, I'm 42, so if you grow up in my time, like Sopranos was hitting right when I was getting out of high school, and I'm Italian, and I grew up just obsessed with all things like mafia, all things gangster, that's all I knew. And I would roll with these guys, and my brother and a couple others, they ran this club called Club Cadillac in Moreno Valley, California, so you can imagine the name alone. And I just had my first daughter. She's 21 now. She's a senior at Alabama, Roll Tide. Didn't offend anybody with that, the Roll Tide. Snuck it in there for her. She was 2 months old at the time, and it's winter. It's like December. She's born on October 14th, 2002. So this is December 02, and we're at this nightclub. My brother and all his friends are the bouncers, so I think I'm untouchable. And this little scrawny kid comes up, and he starts like running his mouth. And it should have been a red flag, because I was probably the size I am now. Probably even bigger, because I haven't done steroids in 10, 12 years, and I was probably juiced out of my mind back then. And the red flag should have been, this guy was $160 wet. And he's all covered up because it's cold. He starts running his mouth. We go at it. I eventually have him up against like a cement pole, like outside, like by his neck. He's that small. And he has his hand in his pocket, and he comes around and he hits me, and he has these brass knuckles that have a blade built in. And he goes through my cheek, chips my tooth, puts me on the ground. Like he just went right. I still have a scar from it. My brother jumps in. He has a matching scar. It's kind of a cool story for that reason. The worst part of the story is, and you'll have to cut this on the camera, my friends caught up to him in the parking lot, and they kicked his head in so bad. He was in a coma for 6 months. The cops were begging and pleading for me to press charges. They wanted to get him for attempted murder because he got so close to my jugular. They're like, he was out to kill you. So they had me go ID him while he's in the hospital in the coma. And now he doesn't have all his like clothing on. It's not winter anymore. He's in a hospital bed, and he's in his boxers, and he is covered head to toe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with 18th Street gang. It's a huge gang in Los Angeles, California. They're from El Salvador originally, but very, very scary gang. I just had my first baby. So I was like, told the cops, no, I'm good. And they went back and forth with me for 6 months, which is how I know the end of the story for the man. His parents pulled the plug. So like, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means like I didn't give him the fatal blow. I didn't actually even catch him in the parking lot. My brother's friends did. But just the reaction of who I was running with and how cool I thought I was and the decisions I made. I just had a 2-month-old baby, and I like risked my life for a stupid bar fight, and then we ended another grown man's life. I don't know if he has kids. I have no clue. Had kids. And so the crazy thing about that is it really didn't even change me. I was still like out to prove. I stole cars when I was homeless because I thought like the money from that would allow me to buy the new Jordans and the new, like, I got voted best dressed in high school. Some of you probably saw this recently on my social. I got voted best dressed my senior year of high school, and I was homeless. That's how far I went to cover up who the fuck what was really going on and who I really was. If there was something out there, I bought it. And so to support these habits, I was doing everything under the sun, including illegal things. And I had justified it with, I'm homeless, I'm a street rat, I'm trying to survive. And it just set me down some really, really black holes to the point where I didn't even, if having a baby doesn't straighten you out, shame on you. And I had a 2-month-old and I was still out there being like this tough Italian gangster that I thought that I was. I don't know where I'm going with this, but that's where I don't know.
No, I mean,
it's just shitty decisions, man.
No, I just think what you're seeing is the compounding effect of layering. I call it layering. Like that when we don't like really know who we are, we're unwilling to face that man or that woman in the mirror, we just start to layer things on because we think it'll protect us. We think that it'll hide us. It'll think that we don't have to let people in because we don't even want to go in there. Like we don't. But at some point when you set yourself free from your pain, like you will have perspective and you'll give permission to someone else to do the same. And it's all that layering that just built up and built up. And no wonder he's so big because he had to carry all that fucking weight. All that emotion. All that pain. So at some point, like it literally was just like a hairline fracture. And it took someone like me just going, and just falls off. So you guys can see like that, like this movement wasn't built overnight. On the contrary, like it's been built year after fucking year after fucking year after fucking year after fucking year to where it's finally like I had a fucking enough. And I'm ready to like literally burn everything that doesn't serve me and ready to go serve. Why? Right there. Like talk about the letter you got from your daughter, where that relationship was and where that relationship is. We're not talking like, this is taking a decade to rebuild.
So when you cheat on your wife for 17 years, let me give you another pattern. Daddy cheats on mommy. Mommy figures it out. Mommy takes daddy back. Kids are watching. What do you think happens to my 2 girls when they finally get a boyfriend?
They date a cheater.
They date a cheater. And then what else do? They accept that behavior. That's what guys do. All guys think about is sex. Mommy took him back. My selfish actions set up my 2 babies, who at the time that all of this was going down were 14 and 16 and figuring out dating for the first time. And I set up a perpetual loop for them of heartbreak. Get out there and find you a cheater. This one you might want to write down. Your son will become you, and your daughter will marry you. Obviously, you guys have to flip it. I've been saying that for years to men, but it's very important that you understand that, my men in this room. Your son will become a version of you. So if you hold up a mirror right now and you don't like what you see, get to work. And the scariest part of that sentence is your daughter will marry a version of you. She knows everything it is to court a woman by the way you treat your wife or do not treat your wife. Do you date her? Or do you talk down to her? Are you present for her? They see everything. My wife can tell you right now, and those of you that want to have a conversation with her, a sidebar, she knew every single time I was cheating. You carry a vibrational energy into that house every single time. I don't care how slick you think you are. But that cycle that we created and then indirectly showed our babies, set them up for the same cycle. This is the generational curse, by the way. This is why families get stuck in these loops. Everybody in this room, when you leave this event, now that you're going to know some things you didn't know, now you have a duty, and that duty is to become an agent of change. Like, it is your fucking obligation to break any generational curse that does not serve your family. If you're showing up like your dad showed up to a degree that you didn't really appreciate, if you didn't transform your trauma and you're simply transmitting it to your babies right now, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. So the letter he's talking about, my oldest, the one that's in Bama, hated my guts. She figured it out at an age where she knew exactly what was going on, and she didn't give a shit that I was doing all this personal work. And she didn't care that there was a new version of daddy and mommy was just going to accept it. And she didn't have to. She was almost heading off to college now. She was looking at colleges. She couldn't wait to get out of the house. So she figured, I don't have to deal with dad no more. Now I see dad as a shithead. It's probably been, because this is before I started doing the work, it's like, to his point, it's probably been 8 years since my daughter even wanted to be in the same room as me. And then I have a letter. Sometimes I read it and sometimes I can't get through it. I didn't bring it. But my daughter had to write a letter for college for one of her classes. She called me her hero, and the whole entire essay is how her dad is her hero. And my wife and her were the closest, and now my wife is almost jealous at times because my oldest daughter and I FaceTime like religiously, and sometimes we don't even say shit. We just hang out on the fucking phone. I don't even know what we're doing. We're just holding space for each other. And she wanted nothing to do with me. And I had all the stories that, like, my kids aren't young. I didn't get these tools until it was too late. My kids are done. It's done for me. Like, these guys, they hate me, and they should hate me because of all the shit I put them through. And like, all you can do, and for those of you that want to start doing the work, if you think you have work to do, and he taught me this, is like, just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. Because I had to get to a point, and this was still hard to learn, still hard to stay out loud, where I was showing up for me. I wasn't showing up with an expectation that my daughter would someday forgive me, or my daughter would someday write an essay and call me her hero, which I can't even read the freaking thing. Because this is another issue I deal with. I feel I don't deserve to be called, the things she says in there, the shit that I put her through. She didn't ask for this. She didn't ask for dad to be a shithead. She sends me songs on Spotify. This song reminds me of you, Dad. One of the songs she sent me recently, if you guys get a chance, any Zach Bryan fans out there, not his newest album, but he has a song called Mine Again. If you play that song right now, I'll leave this room. I will fall over. And it's like this concept about, like, if you can read the lyrics any way you want, but it's about having her dad back again in her life, you know? And like, she's so mature. She's more mature than me. Oh, I hate this shit. Sorry.
Put a price tag on it. Try to. Like, put a price tag on it. You can't. You can't. The human life value is the greatest asset. Like, this man could get hit by a fucking bus tomorrow. She has that as her father is a hero, and he goes to the grave knowing that he was. And anything that he's wearing, anything he's driving, anything he lives in, it fucking stays here. But that shit lives on forever. I lost my dad. I lost my dad, like, at the craziest time, not that there's ever a good time. He went to the grave with things in my fucking heart. But in that moment, like, I have this man that I call on, literally call on. I'm not, we were launching one of the biggest fucking things we were ever fucking launching. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm pulling the fucking plug. Like, I'm out. No, the fuck you're not. No, you're not. Perspective, permission, proximity, pain, power, permission, perspective, proximity, pain, power. We all feel like we're fucking fighting this life alone, and we're not. We're choosing to. I have 2 brothers by birth, a twin sister, and I have a brother that I choose, that I know chooses me. I still choose my real brothers because they're good fucking brothers. But they could be shitheads. It doesn't matter. I got guys like Nick Alfano. I got guys like Michael Isom. Lindsay, can you find that letter on your computer, please, for me? Like, so sometimes, like, in this world of, like, masterminds and fucking coaches and, yeah, come do this, and we got the new fucking marketing scheme and blah, 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 blah. Like, I can't fucking stand it. There's no fucking depth. It's tone deaf. Because they're pushing you to all of these things that don't matter. And the byproduct of being a good fucking man and woman in the right proximity, with the right permission, with the right perspective, will yield all of those fucking things and more. Business is fucking easy. It's fucking easy. You and your bullshit and your complexities and your baggage and your stories, I fuck it all up. Like, what I've watched this man do, I'd call it a fucking miracle, but it's not. It's simply the result of doing the goddamn work and being ruthlessly fucking committed. Everything that he has put into this fucking thing. Everything. Put it all on the line. And guess what? It couldn't have fucking happened until he aligned with the most powerful fucking powerful piece on the chessboard, the fucking queen. The queen is the most powerful piece on the motherfucking chessboard. The king's stupid. He goes forwards, backwards, side, side. The queen is just fucking waltzing all around, bam, taking out shit. So the king can just fucking be there. He could not have built this shit without radical honesty and without making shit right with her and making shit right with them. It would simply be out of alignment and it'd be just another fucking thing. Switch places with me. Like, this is a fucking power couple right here. We hear about power couples. Like, this is a powerful couple. Like, to go through what they've been through and to still choose love, to still choose to be together, to still choose this. Like, he is a fucking hero. Because a weak man, a pussy, would just walk away. Start a new life with a new wife and a new story and be the man that she always saw. It is so fucking hard to sit in a room and confess your affairs and confess like your deepest, darkest sins. But guess what? It's fucking powerful because it sets you free and it will align with the people that it aligns with, and the rest don't fucking matter and they don't belong. This is hard. Every hero has its kryptonite. Every hero has a story of failure and triumph. Like, to teach those kids that. Like, fuck. What can't I overcome? If I watch my dad overcome this, I watched my mom overcome this. I watched my mom to have space, grace, and empathy and forgiveness. How's that going to shape their world? So I want you guys to face each other. This is the letter that Lindsay wrote me. I have this at home. I save it. I save it. And every time I don't feel like I want to come do something like this, every time I don't feel worthy, every time I have a story, every time I'm starting to sedate, I fall back onto this. As Michael Isom says, to remind and be reminded. This is a letter to me. My name's Nick as well, so don't get confused. It says, Nick, I'm writing you this today because of the impact that you have had on my life personally. As you know, Nick and I have been together for 22 plus years, and the past couple of years have been our best by far. Your program has brought out the best parts of my Nick, the parts that I've always loved, and the parts that have kept me fighting for our marriage for all of these years. I have never looked at him like a bad guy, just a good guy making bad decisions. And unfortunately, those bad decisions turned me into a person who was not fun to be around. I lost my faith in love and my trust in everyone. I had finally given up. I was done, or so I thought. At just the moment you came into our lives, Nick became one of your warriors, and the light came back into my life. I fell back in love with my husband and myself as a result. I became a happier person, which made me a better wife and mother. I can honestly say that I've never trusted Nick the way I do, and that feeling is amazing. I guess what I'm trying to say is thank you. Thank you for helping Nick see how amazing he is. Thank you for helping me see how wonderful life can be. Thank you for choosing us to be part of your journey. You're truly an incredible man and have changed my life, and I am forever grateful. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Lindsay Alfano. Put a price tag on this. Put a price tag on this. Put a price tag on that. You can't. You can't. And that's what this is all about. Like, as I'm reaching up, looking to a man like Michael J. Isom, I'm also reaching down, grabbing on to a man like Nick Alfano, who is now reaching down to all of you, many of you in the room, wearing those goldenrod shirts. Many of you that are part of the program already. And someday, in the hopefully not so distant future, you will be reaching down to somebody, your children, your wife, your husband, your staff. Like, you're going to hear how this kind of stuff can radically change the environment and culture in your company. But it all started with one man willing to walk away from his fucking pain, to get some permission, to have some perspective, and to fucking harness his power. And take a long, good look in the fucking mirror and ask himself, who am I? So tonight, as we go into the next evolution, when you got that story, that anchor in the meditation, you got a word, just start to think about the fucking stories that don't serve you. And make a conscious decision today that they're done. There are rooms like this waiting for each and every single one of you to rise. So thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being there for me. This is a debt I cannot pay back, but I told both of you it's a debt that I always will pay forward. And thank all of you for being here in this room, for taking time away from your lives, from your wives, from your husbands, from your children, from your companies, and listening to that other voice that's happening right now that said, I don't know why, but I need to be in this room.
So I won't get too philosophical or biblical here, but I have you guys consider over the last 4 or 5 years, this world's gotten pretty crazy, right? It's probably some of the craziest shit you've ever seen. I am thoroughly convinced that God, the universe, vibration, insert belief here, is rallying his generals. I think there's something, I know there's something big coming in our lifetime. Some of you have been called to lead. There is a big divide coming, a massive divide in this country and beyond. There's a lot of weak men out there, and we have to flip that table, and we need to start building stronger men, stronger leaders, stronger women, stronger leaders. And some of you know, some of you have felt this on your heart, this calling for a long time. Hardest thing I did was take off the superhero cape for my family. $1 million plus, I just call it 7 figures because we had many years over, well over $1 million, passive income between my law firm and 23 debt collection offices, 462 employees. Didn't have to show up to anywhere, months at a time. Collected 7 figures. And I burned both of those boats to take this island. Lost a lot of money for 4 years. Still haven't fully recovered. I've created more wealth for more people in the last 2 years than I have for myself. I wouldn't trade any of this shit. Because I fly out of bed. I am 100% in constant communication and communion with God, and I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. I don't know what it looks like at the end. I don't know what everybody that I assist or help or walk alongside or just show them their own path. I don't know what that's supposed to look like when this game is over for me. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep creating wealth or am I just supposed to keep creating really fucking good people that can lead more really good people and butterfly effect and on we go. There's good and there's evil out there right now. Who's winning? Who's winning? Evil. By a landslide. They're better funded than us. They're better funded because they're willing to do the shit that we won't do because we have integrity. Because we were raised a certain way. And so I had someone ask me recently, it was actually my little brother, because he doesn't live in the entrepreneur world. He said, yeah, you help all these people win, but you only help people that can afford to pay you. You only help people and you show them how to make a shit ton of money. I said, no, man, I only put money into the hands of the righteous. And the premise of this container is a massive fucking filter and a massive training ground to make sure. So you've heard a couple times, let me just hit this sentence hard. More money doesn't fix shit. Please erase that from your brain. More money just makes you more of who you already are. If at your core you're a shithead and you have money, you will just make bigger shithead decisions. You will magnify your fucked up core values with the amount of money in your hands, which is why God will pull it from you every single time. We talked about this. If you're not ready to steward the money you currently have, quit asking for the next level. You haven't shown that you're ready for the next level. Conversely, money in the right hands. You know how I met Eric and Talent? They came down to Belize to fight a sex we donate to a sex trafficking organization to fight sex trafficking. And these guys never even knew who I was, and they said, I'm in. And they came down there, and we brought doctors. Talon brought his dad and brought a doctor. We brought a dentist, and we outworked the entire organization that we went there to serve, just to prove a point. Like, for me to even show you guys like Nick Long and all the other people in our Rolodex that can help you grow whatever business problem you think is the issue right now, you have to give at least 3% of your top line revenue to an organization larger than you. It doesn't have to be mine. If autism speaks to you, Habitat for Humanity speaks to you, you're going to hear from another man that runs an organization later on. Maybe his speaks to you. I don't care where you put it, but you will put it somewhere larger than you. You will not be in this container to get another Ferrari, bro, to get a bigger house, bro. You can have nice things. I will show you how to have big shit, nice shit. But if you don't live our mission statement, which is, does anyone want to spit it out? IOI? Impact over income. Impact over income. Impact over income. Impact over income. Eventually, it's all just shit. It's shit. I've had all the shit. I'm actually more obsessed with getting you to the millionaire status so you can go buy shit, so you can come back on my door and say, Nick, you're right. It's not fucking cool. It's just shit. It's just things. I'm not full. I got the car, I got the house, I got the thing. The chase was pretty exciting, but when I actually got the thing that I said that I wanted, I'm so effing empty. And what's the deal? Please show me purpose. Please show me purpose over profit. Please show me impact over income. And then I'll take all this money and I'll help the next person. And I'll help the next person. And I'll help the next person. That's legacy. I will show anybody in here, along with this man and several others, how to make a ton of money. But if you're not going to steward it the way this world needs you to right now, I can't help you. I won't help you. There's probably a container out there for you. There's probably people out there that'll help you make bank, bro. Cash and checks, snapping necks, all those cool lines. It's not here.